Hello and welcome back to this channel. I am your host, Edi Kanobot, and this is Isaac News. As you know, on Isaac News, our job here is to bring you up to speed with amazing things happening in our country. Okay, so today on Isaac News, we'll be looking at the electricity situation in the country. It has improved over the years, and we're going to be stating why. We're going to be looking at Siemens deal with Nigeria. We're going to be looking at the Presidential Power Initiative, which is PPI, and some other things surrounding power generation and power distribution. Nigeria gets ready to take the last batch of the 10 transmission transformers from Siemens. So Nigeria and Siemens has had a deal. Siemens is the company responsible for the power revolution in Egypt. It is among the best companies in the world that as regards power generation and power distribution. So the major issue Nigeria has had over the years, we've had a lot of issues with power. We've had issues with power generation. We've had issues with power distribution. We've had issues with power transmission. But our biggest issue has been power transmission and distribution. So once the mega power plant actually generates power, it is supposed to proceed. Once the mega power plant produce power, the next step right now is to transmit this power from the generating point, which is popularly called GenCos in Nigeria, to their distributing ends. So the transmission, so it is generated here, it needs to be transmitted from the national grid to sub-power stations and then distributed to the power lines where the customers can then benefit from. So the major issue has been power transmission from the national grid to the substations and then distribution from the substation to the power lines. So once the mega power plant generate power, the next thing is to transmit this power to substations. And from the substations, it will be distributed to the transmission lines. In fact, to the transformers that are a major component of the transmission lines. Then from the transformers to the transmission lines, and from the transmission lines to get to the final consumer. Now, the quality of equipment you have in your substations, the quality of equipment needed to transmit power from the generation points to the substations, and from the substations to the transformers, and from the transformers, even the quality of your power lines. These are very important. In a situation where you have too much power on a power line, what's going to happen? It is going to overheat and it will end up burning. So when you say transformers knocked down or transformers blew, or you have issues at the mega power station, it's because when the generation capacity has increased, you cannot increase the distribution capacity. What you need to do is change the equipment, put in things that can handle more power. So that's exactly what is being done right now under the Presidential Power Initiative. As much as our country is focusing on even increasing the amount of power it generates, like it would interest you to know that we generate about 8,100 megawatts of electricity, and we are increasing that on a steady basis. We also need infrastructure in place to take that 8,100 from the generation point to the substations, to the transformers, and then to the lines. Meaning sometimes you may even have to change the lines. We already have to change our transformers, and we have to change our apparatus at the substations. This is what has been going on with Siemens Energy, which is one of the best firms worldwide as regards power generation, power transmission, and power distribution. So these and many more are the things we're going to look at in today's video. So please, at this juncture, I'd like to solicit that you should like this video, share your thoughts with me in the comment section, and share the video if you can. All right. So if you're just joining us for the first time, I am your host, Edi Kanobot, and this is Isaac News. And to the rest of our viewers, welcome back. So we are looking at the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, and its increase in electricity generation, transmission, and distribution. All right. The Transmission Company of Nigeria's current wheeling capacity is about 8,100 megawatts. So there's a video I made, very early in my YouTube journey about electricity distribution, generation, and transmission. And as at that time, our generation capacity was about 7,000 megawatts. From about October, September, we've gone on to increase our generation capacity to about 8,100 megawatts. Okay, and this is an amazing one by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, who is in partnership with Siemens Energy. A little on PPI. So PPI is the Presidential Power Initiative. A major focus of this present government, was on power. Understanding the role that power plays in, the growth of an economy. Right now, this video wouldn't be possible. A major reason why most of you have not seen me for a while now is due to lack of power. I've not had power for where I was before. I didn't have power. We had issues with our transformer for over 2 weeks. And that prevented me from making videos for over 2 weeks. I couldn't do anything in a different location right now with a fairly stable electricity. Now, every economy in this world is heavily dependent on power, on electricity. And absence of these things has very damaging effects. So a major focus of this government was to work on power, and it takes a lot. Nigeria actually privatized their power industry, you know, a couple years ago, and it sounded like it was something so fantastic. But this power stuff is a very, I don't think it's something the private sector can do. To bring a nation, what the private sector in Nigeria can do right now concerning power, they can come in after the federal government has spent all the money they are spending right now and will keep spending to bring power to a stable level. The private sector can then come in to maximize the infrastructures already put in place. I don't know of any private firm, is my opinion, that has the ability to go and liaise with Siemens and to begin to lay lines around the country, to begin to change transformers around the country, to begin to work on the infrastructures around the country. This has to be government-sponsored programs. And when the government has done its part in putting the infrastructure in place, the private sector can then come in and make use of the present infrastructure to ensure constant distribution. It can even upscale generation, but then, most importantly, it will actually create a system of revenue generation where there can be proper assessment of who and of those patronizing power, and ensure that they're not paying more or less than they should. This is where privatization can really come in. So think of another example. The government probably builds a big, massive mega refinery. That's the job of the government. Privatization can then come in running the refinery. It is the place of the government to engage in capital-intensive projects, and it can then bring in private sector to run it, to manage it, and to make sure that it can generate as much revenue as possible. So I am very optimistic, and I'm hopeful, and I am no analyst, I'm no specialist right now, so my stand right now may be totally wrong. But I'm hopeful that when we have gone ahead to increase power generation to about 25,000 megawatts as agreed by Siemens in the year 2025, the private sector can then come in to ensure even power distribution around the country and then revenue generation from the power generated. So this is now the initiative of the PPI, the Presidential Power Initiative, is to liaise with Siemens to increase power generation from whatever it is or whatever it was. As at 2016, our power generation was about 5,000 megawatts as at 2016. But as we speak to you now, it's about 8,100. So we have increased our generation capacity by 3,000 megawatts of electricity. The deal we signed with Siemens is to increase it to 25,000 megawatts by the year 2025. That is the deal that is on ground right now with Siemens. And the president is working hard to ensure that these things will be, whether he's in office or not. All right, moving on. The transmission company of Nigeria's capability to efficiently transmit the power generated in the national grid to the substations, to the transformers, and to the final consumers is evidenced by the record of the historical peak generation that was successfully transmitted to the distribution load centers nationwide. What that basically means is that when TCN comes out to say we can transmit this amount of power, it is because when we had a generation peak, there's a power generation peak of about 8,100 megawatts, we were able to distribute that same level of power to the distribution load centers, and then we're able to equally distribute it to our transformers and to send it nationwide. So this is the boost of the transmission company of Nigeria. Now, I am a personal testifier of the fact that power generation, but majorly power transmission and distribution, has improved massively in the country. There was a private survey carried out in the country, of power supply, to consumers. And some people were saying that, power supply has increased by 99% where they found themselves. Some said by 80%, some said by 90%, some said by 70%, some said by 0%, some said by 20%. But all over the country, there have been an increased power generation, power transmission, and power distribution all around the country. And this is because of our deal with Siemens. So there is an increased morale right now in the transmission company of Nigeria. You see a lot of their workers are working actively. There's morale, among the workers, because they are seeing their sector come to life. They are seeing their department come to life. They are moving from place to place to place. Recently, they had come to set up a substation, a sub-mega power station in my state, in Akwa Ibom, in Ibom local government. In Ibono local government, they came to set up a power station. They have videos on their official Twitter handle, that is Transmission Company of Nigeria. Go to their Twitter page, go on YouTube, you'll see the official video of their commissioning of a sub power station in Akwa Ibom. These guys are moving from place to place, Taraba to Lagos has benefited massively. Oshogbo in Oyo State has has benefited. I hope I didn't butcher that. Yes, is it Oshogbo or Ogbomosho? I think it's Ogbomosho in Oyo State has benefited maximally from it. So a lot has been happening, and the president structured these things in such a way that even after he leaves office, these things are part of the national budget. Money will be steadily allocated to ensure that our power issues are finally sorted out. So, we are very happy with the president, very happy with the guys, in the transmission company of Nigeria who are doing a lot of what they are doing, with our engineers who are carrying out the factory acceptance test. So the factory acceptance test is a test where the country or the recipient of a particular transformer will go over to the country manufacturing it, and we will check it, test it, and ensure that what they're sending to us is not inferior, it's not a second-hand product, it's not something that will come and spoil in a few years' time, that it is up to international standards. So our guys move down to Germany from time to time to check any new batch of transformers coming down to Nigeria, and they've been doing a massive job in ensuring that the things coming in are of good quality. So this is the reason behind the increase of power distribution. The reason why you're seeing more power where you are is because a lot of money is being put and pumped into revitalizing the power sector. So we've come to the end of today's video. I hope you really enjoyed the things you're learning. Please, I would like to advise, if you're following me, you're watching my videos, do yourself a favor of checking things out yourself. Go online, browse. When you watch a video like this, browse more on it, check more on it, do your personal research, check out for amazing things happening in this country. It would affect your mind and also help you to understand, how to invest. Because many who are seeking to leave the country are doing so due to, ignorance. They don't understand what is going on right now. But if you're following me and you follow me for a while now, you should have, understood that Nigeria is on a fast track to change, and that in a few years' time we will become we're already a hotspot, but we'll become a global hotspot, and many will be trooping to Nigeria, not just for safety, but because of the opportunities that are abound. So that I don't overstretch videos as I often do. We've come to the end of today's video. I'd like you to like the video, to share, to subscribe. Please share your thoughts, engage me in the comment section. Okay, don't just say thank you very much. Ask questions, give suggestions, and correct me where I'm wrong. I don't think I'm 100% in the things I do. I'm still new, I'm still learning. And just share your thoughts out there. It is highly welcomed. Until we see you again, Godspeed.